Every generation, my uncle chooses one niece to mentor. I was the chosen one once. At the reunion, he set his sights on my daughter. I was by the dessert table when I watched Uncle Gerald walk up to my 7-year-old, crouch down, and tell her she was going to be his special project, just like her mother had been. The whole room went quiet at the same instant. My aunt froze mid-pour. My mother stared at the floor. My father cleared his throat and stepped outside without a word. I pulled my daughter behind me because I remembered. I remembered the summer with Uncle Gerald when I was 8. 2 weeks at his lake house, no phone, no other kids, just him shaping me. The endless lectures, the notebooks he filled while I sat in silence, graded like livestock on posture and obedience and gratitude. I came home that summer quieter, smaller, and I spent 20 years unlearning it. I was not going to hand him my child. I found my husband. We're leaving now. He laughed. You're overreacting. Gerald's harmless. He just likes family time. Her parents already agreed she'd do the 2 weeks this summer. My mother said behind me, gently, like it was settled. The ground tilted. Gerald funded everything. My father's business, my cousin's tuition, half the people in that room. That was how the family bent to him. That was how it always worked. I didn't argue further. I took my daughter's hand, walked out the front door, and drove the 4 hours home without stopping. The calls started that night. My husband, furious that I'd embarrassed the family. My father's voicemail. Gerald was very disappointed. I changed nothing about my answer. 3 days later, I came home from work and my daughter wasn't there. A note on the counter in my mother's perfect handwriting. Gerald picked her up. She'll be back in 2 weeks, like everyone else. I called every woman I could find in the old reunion photos. The nieces from before me. The first hung up the second she heard his name. The second blocked me. I finally reached my cousin Diane, the chosen one right before me, and she answered on the 6th ring, sounding like she hadn't spoken in days. I begged her for the address. She was quiet a long time. Then she gave it to me and said, "Whatever you find, it's worse than you remember." I drove 9 hours through the night. The lake house sat at the end of an unmarked road. I parked in the trees and went in through an unlatched side door. What I found wasn't supernatural. It was a study lined with binders, decades of them, labeled by year going back to the 50s. Photographs of girls, pages of his observations, what each one feared, who in the family he'd paid off to deliver her, how he'd corrected the ones who resisted. A ledger of every relative he financially controlled and what their silence cost him. It was the architecture of a man who had spent 50 years buying a family quiet enough to keep handing him their daughters. And it was evidence. All of it. I found my daughter in a back bedroom, awake in her pajamas, scared but unharmed, and Gerald sitting across from her in an armchair, mid-lecture, a fresh binder open on his knee with her name on the cover. 3 days of notes, nothing he could undo. He stood when he saw me, calm, certain I'd fold like everyone before me. She's safe, you'll thank me, just like you should have. I didn't scream. I picked up my daughter, and I held up my phone. I'd been recording since the side door. And I told him I'd already called the county sheriff from the road, and that I had photographs of every binder on his shelves. For the first time in my life, I watched Gerald look afraid. We didn't stop until we reached the car. He's facing charges now, and the ledger gave investigators a thread that's unraveling more than just him. Half the relatives who looked at the floor are giving statements, finally, now that the money can't protect any of them. My daughter is 16 now. She barely remembers that night, which is the only mercy in the whole thing. I remember all of it, but the pattern that ate 3 generations of us stopped at her. I made sure of that.